This is Alexa Linton, and you're listening to the Whole Horse Podcast. I'm coming to you from the Cowichan Valley on beautiful Vancouver Island in Canada, and I'm excited to be bringing amazing instructors from around the world to share their knowledge about all the ways that we can keep ourselves and our horses well and happy, and about some of the cutting edge techniques, training, and different aspects that are coming into the horse industry and changing it from within. I'm so excited you're here, and I'm excited about the times that we live in and the shifts that are happening in the horse industry before our eyes. Let's get started. Hey everyone, it's Alexa here, and you're on the Whole Horse Podcast. And I have an old friend coming back for another round here. We've got Heather Nelson today.
Hello everyone.
Welcome. And I just wanted to make a disclaimer because I read my podcast reviews yesterday, and apparently my laugh is very loud. And so I'm just going to share an overall apology for my sometimes loud laugh, but also say that I can't help it.
You're not going to be able to rein it in. No.
I can't rein it in.
I mean, I could poke you every time you laugh if it would
totally.
help. But I'm more of a positive reinforcement trainer.
She really is. She's not about the negative reinforcement.
I don't have any Smarties to pass you if you quietly chuckle to yourself.
So I am determined to get better at editing for all of you, so I don't bust anybody's eardrums, because that's not cool. And so that's my pledge to you as we move forward into our third season. So I'm going to get all serious about.
Nobody wants you to get serious, Alexa.
I'm not going to get serious about that. I'm just going to get serious about learning to edit my podcast.
I feel like there could be danger in editing yourself. Really? I think you just need to be authentically you. I mean, maybe you could practice a little bit quieter, but I don't really want to see you editing yourself. I feel like there's some sort of overall meaning in that that would just be too bad.
I may have gone through one of my podcasts yesterday and erased all my laughter, but then it became very short.
Imagine erasing your laughter in your life. You can't erase laughter.
I can see the symbolism in all this at this moment.
There's too much symbolism. You can't do this to yourself, Alexa.
Now I'm laughing a lot.
I know. You got to make up for
yesterday.
I know. You knew you were going to get laughing. You cannot edit your laughter.
Okay. I definitely can't edit it out of this podcast. That's for sure. Yeah. So happy that Heather is here. We are actually sitting at Heather's house, Heather's parents' house.
I moved back in with my parents.
She did. We'll explain. In Cowichan Bay, and we are looking out at beautiful boats and mountains right now.
And the sea is so calm today, hey?
It's beautiful. It's super beautiful here. You all should come visit. And we're hanging out with Heather because Heather has had a little injury. So she's chilling.
Yeah,
she's chilling.
I got to take an ambulance ride. That was my first ambulance ride.
Was it?
I think as a horse trainer, that's probably fairly impressive.
Yeah.
Be 40 years old before you
actually.
Take one.
Yeah. I think a lot of trainers, tend to take more.
Yeah, and I have been riding horses since I was 11.
Well,
so
that's a pretty good track record.
I think I'm doing okay.
Totally. I haven't done it. How is it?
Oh, the ladies were very kind.
Oh, that's good.
They said I had an extremely high pain threshold, and but I can say that every time you go over a bump in the ambulance, the ride was actually quite short, but it was excruciating.
Yeah.
I was like, can we make this thing smoother?
Well, and they're not allowed to give you painkillers, in the ambulance. They have to leave you.
Oh, that was kind of funny because the ladies who helped me off my horse on the trail, they gave me ibuprofen.
Right.
And then the paramedic, she was kind of like, well, have you had anything? And then I explained that, and she's like, you're not supposed to take drugs from strangers, right? And I was like, these ladies seemed very nice. And she says, that is how it starts. I was like, that's funny.
Oh my gosh. Yep. Yeah, I would have done the same thing. Just give me the pain meds.
Just give it to me. Yeah, I don't care.
For sure.
I did consider not taking it, but then I thought, well, maybe this could curtail the swelling.
I was gonna say, and maybe at that point it was maybe it's not so serious, and then.
Oh no, I knew it was quite serious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Heather's been hanging out, having a lot of time to contemplate, and felt. She's been felting.
Needle felting.
Needle felting. Yeah, and I want to learn. She's got a little paddock of needle felted horses over here that is adorable.
Yeah, they really are cute.
Yeah.
And they're just like, there's more of them every couple of days.
Yeah. She just did a little leopard Appaloosa, who is amazing.
I feel like, you know, how you have your little heading pictures all the time?
Yeah.
We should probably have
I
a
think
ridiculous
that's
picture of me with
exactly-
this little
I
felted
was
horse.
Absolutely just thinking that. Yes. We are going to do that, everybody. You're going to see this little guy. His name is Spot.
Mm.
Oh.
And he is a commissioned piece, actually.
Wow.
I'd never needle felted, like, what was this? The accident happened 3 weeks ago, I
Yeah.
think it was? Yeah. So I'd never needle felted before that.
So
I'd heard of it.
Yeah. And so she's doing amazingly well. You'll see with Spot, he is impressive. His little face is adorable. So we'll post him up on the podcast site at wholehorse.ca, and you can check him out. So tell us a little bit, how did you start felting?
How did I start felting? Well, I was thinking, you know how I sell felt saddles?
Oh,
right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
ride in one.
You ride in
I
one.
do.
That's
I love
right.
it. The fit
So,
saddle. Oh
yeah.
my goodness. Yep. I was talking at the Cowgirl reunion about the great crotch mold, and then I realized that maybe that was not a really good way to put it.
Actually, I think it's a pretty accurate depiction. I mean, the great thing about the felt saddle is it like forms right to your body, right? And there's
Yeah.
like memory foam inside the felt. And so what I was thinking, because you know how it's kind of hard to find cavesons here
I do.
in
I've been
Canada
thinking about
that
making
don't
my
have
own.
metal on the inside.
Uh-huh.
So I actually got to thinking, I was like, okay, well, if I ride in a felt saddle, and some of my clients have the felt girth, and I was thinking,
Yeah.
could I make a felt caveson? I thought, why not, right? And so as I was thinking about that, and I thought, well, okay, Heather, you don't know anything about felt,
Right.
other than the fact that I ride around in the saddle.
Yeah.
And so I knew my mom had a bunch of felting supplies because mom is very artistic. She used to be a
Totally.
professional artist, but as a painter. And I knew she had a bunch of felting supplies for needle felting. So I thought, well, I'll just sort of play with felt and I'll just sort of see what it's about, because then maybe I can kind of glean some information as to whether I could concoct cavesons out of felt. And I thought, why not make a little horse? And that is how my stable of horses started. So I shared my little horse, and the next thing you knew, people were asking me to make replicas of their own horses, and they were paying me to do it. And since I can't do anything but lie on the couch right now with this injury, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And it turns out it's super fun, because I was always artistic. And so this is just another way for me to explore art. It's like painting with wool, but in a 3D way. So you're actually sculpting and kind of painting and creating a horse. And as a person who's so familiar with horses, like muscles and everything,
Yeah.
I'm just always creating the muscles. Biggest problem I find is I want to create the horses with like better muscular bodies
Than they actually have.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, we need to add that muscle to the lower part of your neck, not the top line. You don't actually have a top line.
We need to give you some butt.
Yeah, so I'm always trying to remind myself, no, take the muscle of the places the owner wishes their horse had the muscle and put it where it actually has the muscle, or it won't look like the real horse.
Right.
So that's kind of a
I could
funny
see
part.
that being challenging as well.
Yeah, but when you know horses, it's not so hard to like sculpt a horse, because you're just looking at it going, oh yeah, it needs a little more there or less there, and turns out you just stab with the needle if you want to create something. So it's perfect.
I did a bit of felting once upon a time at a Cowgirl reunion, and like made myself bleed several times.
Oh, I have stabbed myself.
Yeah.
But my hands
Your
look
hands
okay,
actually look
hey?
all right.
But
Yeah.
I've definitely stabbed myself. It's one of the dangers.
Heather, is everybody out there pondering teaching a class on this?
Yeah, because people have been asking. They've been wanting me to do a workshop on teaching felting, and I love to teach, so of course I'll do it. I just
You're
haven't
kinda
figured
good at
out the
it.
mechanics of it yet. I don't really know what that's going to look like, but I find the whole, I think you already know this about me, that if there's a door that's open, I just kind of can't help but walk through it. Like if something
I've
looks
been
like an
noticing this,
opportunity,
yeah.
I actually have a rule for myself. It's like if something's an opportunity and it presents itself, you have to say yes to it. It's
Yeah.
really how I roll.
Yeah.
So when I couldn't do horse training anymore for the last 3 weeks, I mean, I really can't even stand up, people. I've got like multiple
Yeah.
injuries.
She got a lot of swelling.
I got a lot of swelling.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into what happened, but yeah, for right now, I'm looking at her left leg, and it is it is quite swollen. Like I am having to like rein myself in from doing osteopathy on her leg because
Oh,
I'm
it needs it.
I'm like, oh God. Yeah, there's some definite
It's
things
been
going
rearranged.
on.
For sure, it's been rearranged. But
Mm-hmm.
then it just seemed like, okay, if I'm gonna lie around here, I'm not really that sad about it. I just had to like look for an opportunity, and so then like playing with felt gave me something to do. And then when people were asking me to make, you know, replicas of their horses, that was a door. That was an open door. It was an opportunity. I'm like, okay, walking through this door, seeing where that goes. And now people want workshops, so of course I'm going to just walk through that door too, because
Why not?
that's what I do. And this actually came out of, I think on this podcast we're allowed to get a little bit airy-fairy. Like we can be as airy-fairy as we want, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no bounds to the woo-woo. Yeah.
I was journaling. This is how I get my information. I get a lot of messages when I am journaling. So I was writing after this injury, and I had already felt it, but I hadn't. There was no talk about making horses for other people. I was just playing around with. I was still in my experimental, like, let's learn what felting is phase. And the information was totally coming through. Like, I can make money from this. I could sell horses. And I thought, but I've only been felting for like 3 days. And yeah, I have 11 commissions for felting, and I've only taken up felting 3 weeks ago. So I see that as an open door, and also a message that I received. The intuition was correct.
Yes.
When I wrote and said that I could make money from this. It was totally correct.
Yeah.
It was a thing.
That's amazing. And I want to comment on the fact that when a lot of people get injured, there's this real like, oh my gosh, I've lost these other things. I can't do anything. Like there could have been, what I'm saying is there could have been a few different ways that this could have gone for you.
Yeah,
You know
well,
what I
and I
mean?
wouldn't say that none of those things happen. Like, it's not like I don't have my moments where I'm like, oh crap, how long am I going to be down and out for?
Yeah.
And I can't teach and I can't train, and I've got all of these clients, and I only just got back from Europe, right?
Yeah.
I think I was back from Europe for 2 weeks when this happened.
Yeah.
So to be able to support my clients, I kind of have to be able to teach them when I'm home. I'm not home that much of the year.
Totally.
And so as soon as this injury happened, and I'm like, okay, great, I really can't. I tried to teach 2 lessons. It was like 3 days, okay, that was maybe a little premature, but this was my. So if we want to talk about my process,
yeah, please. I would love to talk about your process, because I think there's a lot of people that. I mean, we're working with horses here. Like injuries happen.
Injuries happen, and we're used to being tough, right? Like we're used to just like get back at it. And so, yeah, like 3 days after the injury, I thought, well, I can use my crutches. I just have to get to the riding arena, and then I can sit in my chair and I can teach. I had my little like speaker to project my voice, so I didn't have to walk around. And I got out there, and I didn't feel more pain because I was out there teaching, right? I taught 2 lessons back to back, my house. I knew I was in a little bit of trouble on my way back to the house because my last student, she wanted to talk to me a little bit at the trailer. I told her that she could turn the lights out at the barn because it was evening when she was done, and I was thinking, I got to get back to the house because I can feel this is not going well for me. And then she's like, oh, well, just wait till I load my horse and then do it. And I was thinking, that's not an option, but I stayed. And luckily, her horse is a great loader, and I paid for that. I could not. I went into my, I tried to sleep that night. There was no way. The pain was excruciating. I wanted to phone my mom in the middle of the night because I was staying at my house at that point and be like, come get me. But I have Airbnb guests, and I didn't want to disturb them. So I waited till the morning before I was like, Mom, I can't stay at home. It's not an option. I need someone to look after me. I need, regular ice. I need treatment with whatever. I need painkillers. I need help. And that is a hard thing for me, Alexa.
I was going to say.
Because I failed brilliantly at that with this first injury this year, back in April.
Yes.
Notice everyone, same leg, same area.
Yeah.
So the universe was like, yeah, you didn't get the message the first time. But no, this time I was like, I need help. I need to go and stay with my parents. I can't stay at home. Teaching is out of the question because it exacerbated things so badly. But then I was good at accepting that. I went to...
Well, it's almost like you had to kind of push yourself to that place
to
go, okay, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
and
I
then
had to
you could
realize
go,
it.
okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is what's going on here.
Because I had been staying at my parents, like immediately after the injury. My mom got me from the hospital, and I'd stayed here for a few days, which, as you guys already know, is not a hardship. I mean, the view is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, well, I'll just go home. I'll go live at home, like a grown-up person would, and I'll teach a couple lessons, and then I will, I'll take it easy.
Mm-hmm.
That was what I was thinking, take it easy. But it turned out that teaching those 2 lessons was not taking it easy. That was making things impossible for me. So I had to ask for help, had to go back home and call her quits on all the things that I thought that I would be able to do.
Totally.
And really completely surrender to the fact that this couch, this is my home now, Alexa. Welcome to the couch here.
It's a nice couch, everybody.
Yeah, this end of the couch I call my living room because I usually spend the daytime here. And then I was spending the night at that end of the couch, so I was calling that my bedroom. That was what I was doing.
She literally, in the beginning, she's like, oh, we should go to my living room for the interview. And I was like, oh, where's that? She's like, we're just going to shuffle down a few feet here.
Yeah, variety's the spice of life. So I needed to create different rooms in the living room. But anyway, now I sleep in the bedroom, it's like 20 feet from here. Woo, big adventures.
Very big adventures.
And the couch here is the living room.
Totally.
But yeah, there was like a certain surrendering that had to happen. And I wouldn't say that I haven't come to other points where I was like, oh yeah, no, maybe now I could teach some lessons. And I haven't gone and actually tried it because I set up some lessons last weekend, but then like I told you, I got a little cocky, started walking from the couch to the bathroom, still assisted by crutches, but I was trying to put a little weight on, and that resulted in 4 days of extreme pain and no sleeping through the night. And that's with the help of medication, some pretty strong medication.
Yeah.
So I realized no, and I canceled the lessons before I went. So I am accepting this whole surrendering thing. And I also realized, like, even if I didn't have the felt horses, I mean, that doesn't really make a lot of money. It's like, it's fun and it's a little bit of money,
from
but
Saturday
it's like
to today.
Sunday
To today.
Putting spots on this little leopard Appaloosa.
Yeah, putting spots on an Appaloosa.
Yeah.
So just in terms of like
in the grand scheme, it's not even minimum
hour.
wage. It's not minimum wage, but it's a little bit of something.
And very good for purpose as well.
Yeah, because it keeps me busy.
Totally.
It keeps my mind occupied, and it's fun, and it's good. But yeah, I have to accept that. Okay, my income, not a happening thing right now, and it has been challenging this year because of the injury the first time.
Yes.
But I think I also learned from the first time that if you continue, you being me, if I continue to keep working and like pretending I don't have an injury, because that's what I did with the first one. I tore the meniscus, I strained the calf, strained the hamstring. I was still out there, like, if a client was like, okay, could you demonstrate this with my horse? I was out there, like, literally running backwards in sand in an arena with a torn meniscus, strained calf, strained hamstring. I was still out there doing it. And of course, 4 months later, I was still in a lot of pain. Yeah. So I thought, okay. And then when the second injury happened, I thought, okay, I get it, universe, I get it. So this time I'm on a couch. I'm like, I know it's better just to rest for whatever period I need than to just drag the injury out and then maybe have the universe rip my leg off or something next time. I don't know.
What's going to happen next?
Like, I don't want to do that.
We don't want to go there.
No.
This, like, let this be the 2x4, just like, let this be the thing.
So I'm practicing.
Like, okay, I'm learning. I've got it. Thank you. You.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because I did a lot of stupid things with the first injury because I did it the day before I was leaving for Europe the first time this year. So I was running at the airport with my backpack the day after I tore my meniscus, right? And then
you were a working student.
Yeah, and I was actually helping set up, like we got into Visay to do this retreat and I was helping set things up for it and I was covering a lot of distance on foot and I wasn't telling people what was going on for me. Yeah. Wow. I mean, they knew that I was a little bit injured, but if you keep on going, people can only go by what they can see. So if I was still running staircases, which I was, then they didn't know, right? And then it wasn't really until I couldn't possibly run a staircase because I really got like leveled on that trip. And then I ended up on crutches and people were carrying me around.
So was this the last?
By people, I mean,
the last Europe trip?
That was the first trip. The second trip this year, I was just slightly limping. I was doing okay because that was 3.5-ish months later, I guess, or 3 months later.
Yeah.
But it still wasn't healed, and it was supposed to be healed, but it wasn't because I wasn't resting it.
Yeah.
I wasn't taking the
You weren't
time, and I wasn't good at asking for help when I needed it. I would just be like, oh no, I'll just get through it. But this time, I realized it's not an option.
We kind of need our legs.
Yeah.
They are important.
Yes, it's very important.
And they do important things for us. So I'm glad that you're doing that.
And one of my students / friends, she just wrote to me yesterday, I think it was, and she was like, you know that the left side is like your feminine receptive side? Do you feel like you have to like look after everything and have trouble receiving? And I was like, yeah, that's like my whole life. I live alone with an acreage of my own business, and like that's how I roll. Like, yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. I get it.
Oh yeah. Well, when I think back to my injury, which would be like 9 years ago, when I bulged a disc in my back because I wouldn't stop, and because
you feel it before that.
Oh yeah, I felt it. July, August of the year before. It didn't fully blow until February. But I just kept throwing bales and riding and like all the things, I'm like, it's fine, all is well. Until
I think horse ladies are worse about this.
We're weird that way. I got the CAT scan and realized like my disc was bulged halfway into my spinal cord and went, oh, so this is why I can't actually put my socks on and I cry all day. Like it was, it took me that long.
It's usually a signal when you're crying all day.
Like the crying all day was really like, oh, this is bad. Yeah. I couldn't even like lift a flake of hay.
No, I understand.
Like I could not bend over.
But I think it's a horse person thing, because even the other day somebody wrote in on my Facebook because we were talking about my injury on there, and somebody wrote in and they were like, oh well, I had a double spiral fracture, so I was out on crutches with an IKEA bag full of hay feeding horses. And I was thinking, but you shouldn't have been.
Maybe that wasn't a good plan.
You shouldn't have been. Like, I think we as horse people, because we're pretty strong, independent ladies. I mean, our hobby is working with this 1,200-pound animal. So we like to prove to ourselves and to everybody else that we can do it no matter what's going on. And so I could tell even in that post from that person, I felt like there was still like a little aspect in there of her pride where she was like, yeah, like I was out there, I was feeding horses in crutches with an IKEA bag. And that's a normal, I think, feeling for a horse lady, that we're just like, yeah, sure, whatever. I mean, that's why there's memes going around where like you see that person in like a full body cast and they're like, yeah, she'd be good to ride by the weekend. Like, those are created for a reason. It's because that's something we do.
We're exactly like that. I mean, I have several friends that come to mind where I'm like, just stop it. Like, especially in training, like when people are, I'm lucky as an equine sport therapist, knock on some sort of wood, that, I haven't ever been injured on the job. I've had a few little things, but nothing big. But yeah, those of us that are training, doing farrier work, that sort of thing, it's like, it's dangerous stuff.
It's dangerous, and then also our whole livelihood's connected to it.
Completely.
So as soon as you can't do it anymore, then what are you supposed to do?
What happens?
But I also thought to myself about this one, like if you tried to put it into a little bit of perspective for myself. I was like, okay, let's say you take a month and you really take a month.
Yeah.
And you really rest it and you really heal. Okay, well, this is X amount of dollars that you make in 1 month. But then you would be doing better over the next months, because that's, if I look at, they say the last 4 months where it took my meniscus to heal, and it didn't really heal. So I was like compromised in everything that I did. So I also was losing income.
I was gonna say.
And I was also losing productivity, and I wasn't able to school my own horses in the same way. So
and you're not nearly as effective when you're in pain.
No. And it was interesting because I had an Airbnb guest come to my place, and he was coming up from the States somewhere. He's a professor, and he teaches about workplace effectiveness. And he was speaking to me about something called Presenteeism. Presenteeism. Okay. And it's a thing where people feel like they have to be present at work, whether they're healthy or not. and that they actually end up compromising themselves and not working as well as if they just rested and got back to work, because when they got back to work, they'd actually be effective once they got back, instead of taking a long time of being quasi-effective.
Totally.
And I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because that's me for sure. Like, I feel like if I'm not there, I'm not, you know, serving my clients, I'm not helping, I'm not being, you know, doing what I need to do. But if I look at it from like, no, just seriously heal and then go back as someone who really can do their job.
Yeah, totally. And I really resonate with that as well from my injury. Because, I took probably 2 months. And I was at a point where, like, you know, couldn't drive a car.
Yeah, you get to the point where you can't do anything.
Yeah, nothing.
Because if you keep working to yourself. Like at the beginning, you can kind of hobble. Well, it depends on the injury. I mean, obviously this one wasn't option. But in your injury, and say in my first injury this year, you could still kind of
you can
hobble
kind of get around. And that was like actually tricky sometimes, because it was like, oh, I can push it a little. And then I would be like, the cost was high, you know.
And people see you in that like sort of pushing it thing, and then you kind of have this feel like, well,
I can do a little bit.
Because they saw that I could walk from here to there. So how do I explain now that today I can't?
Yeah.
Like, and this is sort of like this feeling that way of like, I certainly don't want my own clients to think that I'm just lying around on the couch felting horses all day, you know.
And there is a testament that like her leg is very swollen and looks very
and it's
sore.
Interesting colors.
It's a lot of interesting colors. The bruising is impressive, truly.
Yeah, last week it looked like a Frankenstein leg still, but right now we still have there's some healing now of the actual like abrasions, so it's less Frankenstein. Yeah.
Okay.
But there is always, I think, if we're talking about process, there's that part of you that's like, I don't want any of my clients to think I'm just faking it. Like, I would really rather be out there teaching them. Honestly, this is my favorite time of year to school horses.
It is
not
a nice
too
time.
Cold, not too hot. The arena gets rained on a little bit, so there's no dust. This is the perfect time. But I'm on the couch felting horses. But when I'm here at my mom's, I find it a little bit easier because there's no horses out the window.
No.
It's just this gorgeous view of the ocean.
Yeah.
So I can just kind of rest. When I go to my house, like, because I did go visit my horses last week, I missed them.
Yeah.
Like, to be, like, out there sitting with them, and it was sunny, and I was like, oh, I wish I was working them right now. So it was harder to actually just be right there and see all the conditions are perfect.
Yeah.
Whereas here I can be in my little felt horse world, and it's a little easier.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. So any advice for people out there that may have had an injury or, you know, big dealing with something right now, or
I guess I would say, like, take the time to rest. Like, take the time to look after yourself. Ask for help if you need it, because it's probably not going to get better.
Yeah.
That's my experience so far. It's not going to get better usually. I mean, it will eventually probably, but that depends on what you're going to do to yourself.
Totally.
But yeah, and also this whole idea of getting into the different environment. I don't know that there's that many people that can do that, but that's been helpful because it's been helpful for my frame of mind.
Yeah.
To not be in my regular home, my regular routine, thinking
Going,
about the things I'm not doing.
All the things.
Yeah, instead I'm like in a totally different environment. Mom and I are happy to hang out. We've been like binge watching Netflix while I'm felting horses because I can.
Any good shows?
Yeah, but we've been watching disturbing ones. Like we watched Mindhunter. Did you see that at all?
No, I haven't seen that.
It's good. It's like the true story. It's based on the true story of how the FBI came around to start to profile serial killers.
Wow.
I don't usually like disturbing things, but I do like mysteries, and I like things where you have to think. So of course you're like solving it, and it's something I could hear. I didn't have to see it, which was even better because I don't want to see anything scary.
Yeah.
But I could hear while I was felting, and so I could solve my little crimes while I was poking wool into horses. And so yeah, we do that sort of thing.
Okay.
You know, hang out with little Jackie the dog here.
Jackie is very cute, everyone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mom, she was a nurse, right? She was a registered nurse. That was her career.
Well, she's such a good caretaker.
Looking after me, that's all going well. I do make fun of her that the novelty's worn off because now I have to ask. Now I have to be like, so Mom, kind of need some ice over here.
Please help me.
Whereas initially it was like, you don't need to wake me up in the middle of the night to bring ice. Like, if I'm sleeping, I'm good.
Yeah.
So she was a little too attentive at the beginning. Now a little bit less attentive.
Heather's mom is amazing.
But if you can have somebody helping you like that, that's fabulous. Like if you can, and I was very fortunate because my boarder, Heather, she was already doing chores on the farm in exchange for board for her horse but she has had to step it up a little bit more because normally I would do some of the chores, but I don't really actually do that much because I go away so much. I really have to have a setup where somebody is doing everything. And I would say, like, don't be out there with your crutches trying to feed horses, you know, find a situation where somebody can look after them because people do want to help. And I think when you tell them that they shouldn't, it's almost like a rejection of them actually. But that's a hard thing for me. I always want to be like, no. Like, I don't need anything. I'm fine here on one leg. I can totally look after a farm with one leg.
I think this is a great lesson for all us toughy horse chicks especially. I mean, I know there's horse guys out there too, and you're probably similar, and this is helpful. And I've seen a lot of horsewomen that just want to tough it out and not take care of themselves and work through the pain and all of that. And what I concur with everything Heather says there, because for me it was looking at a lifetime of re-injury and pain. Yeah. You know, I had extreme sciatica. I had, points where my both legs would cramp up all the time, and like I basically got to a point of like, okay, I'm going to do whatever it takes because I do not want to live in this state for the long term.
And isn't it so much better when you can then actually heal and then live your life from like a healthy place, or at least as healthy as your body is capable of being? And I think too, how would you open yourself up to other avenues of creativity if you don't take the time? Would I have found out that I could felt interesting little horses that people would even like want to pay money for them if I hadn't have been lying down and letting that process happen? So you don't let doors open usually if you're just running around crazy. You usually only see the doors if you take a pause, whether it's a short pause or like a major one. So
I love that. I love that. And for me, I wouldn't have probably gone to osteopathy school if it wasn't for my back injury. So it's kind of seeing where it actually like opens up our life, because it made me really curious about why injuries happen and how recovery happens. And because I was getting re-injury, a lot of the times it was like to do with my cycle and things like that. I would get weakness and injury and sciatica, and so I got really curious, and then I started on the osteopathy path, and it's helped me amazingly there. So we kind of like, it can be seen as like a possibility or an opening, right?
But that was how I came around to Liberty training in the first place. I think that's probably in my very first podcast, right? Because I had a back injury and I couldn't ride horses. So I wanted to do something I could do on the ground. So it was one of the things that led me to Liberty. And look where that led me, right?
Oh my goodness.
I think it's really important when you do hurt yourself to look for opportunity and to try to do it in a little bit of a calm way, because for sure after this happened, I was immediately like, okay, I must find the opportunity in this situation. Like I treated that almost like a job at the beginning.
You weren't crying all the time.
No, there was a lady just screaming in emergency. She was screaming full out, what? And I was thinking,
that was a little bit more like my process.
Thinking that we're all feeling what this lady is feeling right now, but it's interesting how we're all doing it in our own way.
I was more with her.
You were like the screamer.
Oh, I was such a screamer.
You were the why.
Oh yeah, like on my floor,
Whereas I went and like journaled. I was like, okay,
Heather,
I don't know
Heather
why
maybe
this
does injury better than me.
It's like, I'm hoping this will reveal itself.
Yeah, we all do it differently, and it's all okay.
I can't say I've discovered like the major reason for this yet. Like, I mean, maybe I have, but I'm not really sure. Because for sure I was like, is it something about my career? Like, why is this happening? Am I supposed to be pushed in a slightly different avenue? I don't know. I'm always open to whatever, and I really am open to whatever. Like, if I felt like there was some message that was like, you know, Heather, you're not supposed to teach lessons anymore. You're actually supposed to... I don't know what the answer might be. But if there was something, I will actually take a good look at it. I really am open, because I have discovered that that's what's made life the coolest.
Totally.
Was when I was open
interesting.
to change.
So interesting. I think that you're supposed to still teach lessons.
I think so too.
I still want to take lessons from you someday.
I still think that the teaching is a major thing. And the training. There is definitely a part of me that's like, why am I not allowed to train my own horses? I mean, I've got like clinic coming up and everything, and
Yeah,
I really
she
wanted to be working my own horses.
Yeah.
Though now Kenneth is all excited. I talked to him on the phone yesterday, and he's like, well, I'm going to ride your ponies. He's like, maybe it's time your ponies had a tune-up from me instead. And I was like, okay.
After 3 weeks off.
Yeah, exactly. Like, should I warn them? Should I warn
probably
them
should,
that
yeah.
Kenneth is super stoked
That Kenneth
about
is coming.
tuning them up? Because he's going to be demonstrating with them, right? So they are,
Right.
they've had 3 weeks off, and now they're going to be his demonstration horses. And turns out he's excited about riding them after that. So they're in for it. That's what's happening.
They really are.
Sorry, ponies.
Yes.
Sorry.
It'll be okay.
Yeah, he's kind, but you guys are going to have to do things correctly now. No more of this slapdashery that we've been doing.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, totally. Oh my goodness. And I've been listening to the audiobook of When the Body Says No. And I think that is a thing, that the body sometimes is like, we need to stop and just like take a bit of a breather. So let me ask you like a little question here.
I'm ready.
When was the last time that you took like an actual, like, let's say like over a week of time off doing nothing, like no work, no horses, like...
Oh, I do have an answer.
Oh.
Okay, but I don't know if it's going to count or not.
Okay.
You know how we had this winter?
Yeah.
I think it was February.
Oh,
and we had like
the storm.
Yeah, we had like a month of snow, and it was intense. It was like over
I was away in
knee-high.
Australia, by the way.
Oh
I
yeah,
was super
you
cheating.
were.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was like in like knee-high snow.
I saw pictures.
Yeah,
of it.
It was incredible,
Yeah.
and there was definitely no schooling of horses to be had. Certainly nobody was coming for their lessons.
That's true.
I did occasionally put the ponies through their paces out in the
Yeah.
snow, but being somebody who's a little bit of nitpicky, obsessive biomechanics type, it was really difficult to school anything I really wanted to school out. I mean, when I was growing up in Prince George, yes, of course we went for trail rides in the snow, but you know, you're not really practicing your shoulder in 3 feet of snow on a horse. It's not happening. So I really did take that time, but then I did my online course. I created my online lunging course.
And was this before or after your first injury?
That was before.
Okay.
Yeah. But actually, too, like, I'm thinking about the online course. When did I create it? Because I'm not sure.
What is this online course?
I was working on the online course during that time. So I had an online course about lunging. It was called Beyond Circles. And I made, like, a whole program. And I had a lot of people. I had, like, 16 people from around the world in the course. It was great.
That's cool.
Also came out from writing. It actually came out from writing, and I was like, I started writing it in a Facebook post. I didn't mean to really. It's like, this is interesting how it happened. So I'm writing, I'm typing away, and the next thing, and I was posting a video of myself lunging my horse, and she was doing some really nice work. So we were preparing for a groundwork lunge test, and I started typing out, and I will be providing an online course, and it was in 2 weeks or something that it started. And I just typed that out, and I was like, oh, will I? That was like my actual response as I'm typing this. I was like, oh, will I then?
Oh my gosh.
But I hit post, and then I had to create an online course.
It's so good sometimes when you have that accountability, though.
Yeah, it was, because now I had to create it. So I did.
When
and then we had the snow, so I was like making... It was very frozen at first, so I remember, because I still did some schooling videos with the horses, and it was like there was snow on the ground, and the ground was kind of frozen. So I remember Sailor was trying to move well on the lunge, but it was like frozen ground. But I mostly used footage that I'd had from previous things. And yeah, I created this full, like, an online course. It was great. It like, the income was what I normally would make in a month, and I was off that month, so it was perfect. And I was planning on running the course again. And I was even thinking this time when I was like down and out, I was like, well, I've got the course all made. Yeah, people loved it. Totally. They really enjoyed it. But you know what? It came through the journal. I wasn't supposed to do it right now. So, and that's one of those things again where I was like, okay, logically, it seems to make sense to run the course again. It was successful. I have all the stuff for it. But the message was no. So
maybe not right at this moment.
Not right at this moment. So I'm trying to listen more about the soul intuitive thing. So, and maybe it would have created less rest in my body. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's part of it.
Maybe that's a part of it. Just that you needed to just be felting at this exact moment. Yeah.
So.
Okay.
And that would be it. Like, you'd think it would be an easy thing, right? Of course, it's already made. You'd think that would be such an easy solution. but it really came up that I wasn't supposed to. So I was like, well, I'm going to just follow.
Okay.
As best I can. Trusting in the universe.
Trusting. So maybe sometime Heather will reoffer this.
It could be. It's called Beyond Circles, and it was about how to get your horse like moving better on the lunge and not making lunging just some endless circling thing or running your horse around to tire it out. Because we, of course, educate horses on the lunge, right? Do side movements and everything. So
yeah, and you and Kenneth is teaching a lunging thing.
Kenneth is teaching a lunging insight day this Thursday. And that's at my
here
house.
In the Cowichan in Duncan.
Yeah, here in the Cowichan Valley. So he'll be doing demos with my horses, and but he also, I informed him yesterday he was going to be my nurse during the time he was here.
Yay!
Yay! Kenneth loves being my nurse. He doesn't.
Yeah.
But he does it good.
I find it very humorous to think about this, though.
He does a good job of looking after me when he has to. So
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. So I don't know if I'm going to get this podcast out in time. So you may think that this is the next Thursday.
Could be.
Thursday.
Is this Thursday?
Thursday, October the 3rd.
As I am lying here on the couch going, great, 16 people are coming to my house this Thursday.
Yeah, and weight bearing is interesting.
And I'm not living there. But I will move back home for the clinics. And the big practice will be while there are clinics going on, that I need to ask for help, and then I'm not going to hobble out and catch horses for Kenneth on my crutches.
No, you're not.
People will step up, they will do things, and,
And Heather's going to be receiving like a mofo. Oh, yeah.
Don't even like that idea.
Yeah.
No. So obviously I'm still learning. Still working this out. But I don't need my leg to get ripped off next. So we're just going to... I'll listen. I'll pay attention.
Yeah, awesome.
And even I wanted to ride, of course. I was like, sure, I could ride. I mean, that's not weight bearing. And I did ride fine with the torn meniscus. That worked out.
Right.
But right now I can't even, if I stand up in the crutches but just stay with my leg bent and not weight bearing, it hurts. So I don't think I'm going to be riding. I've been telling Kenneth almost every week since the injury happened, I'm just going to ride. You're just going to airlift me onto my horse. And he's like, which means he's no intention of supporting this.
No. Crazy scheme.
Audacity. No, he doesn't. He's not going to help me with my crazy scheme.
Oh no. Well, I'm glad. Go Kenneth. Yeah. Well, it's like a self-care practice of taking care of you and maybe being a bit more delegating than you're used to.
Yeah, because usually I really do everything myself at the clinics, and it's a lot of stuff. And if people offer, then I usually will accept. I think I do. I think I accept.
Okay. Well, this will be an interesting practice. Yeah. For any of you out there that find it very challenging to ask for help, this is a good podcast for you today. Yeah. And like Heather said, left side of the body generally represents the feminine, right side represents the masculine, and the feminine is all about, as we've talked about in a few other podcasts, the receiving, being open, being, sort of really allowing, which is, they're all words, surrendering, all words that most horsewomen don't like.
It's true. But I think I actually use some of the words in today's podcast, so I'd like to think that I am learning the lesson.
I think she is. I think we are. And hopefully more as a collective, we are also learning this as well. I think one of the things with the help thing is that we often feel, which may be true, that we can do it better than anybody else.
Yeah, I think it depends on the personality. Because if I think about, say, if we use the clinics as an example, because those are coming up.
Yes.
It's not necessarily that I think that I could catch my horse better than somebody else, as much as I often don't want to impose on other people.
Oh, there we go.
That's
the other
usually
thing.
My component to it.
Yeah.
I know that the doing it better thing is definitely a component out there, but I don't think it's usually mine. I think I'm just always I wouldn't want to I
don't want to trouble you.
I wouldn't want to trouble you. I wouldn't want to put that person out. And even if I have somebody really offering, they're saying, "How can I help you? What can I do?" And then I'm fine. Don't worry. And this is as I'm outrunning them on crutches or something like that. to go do something. And it's like, no, I'm not fine. You know, I think that I know I'm an intelligent woman from a logical perspective. I've got like an educational background to prove it. But if you actually look at how I operate sometimes, like you'd be like, oh my gosh, what is wrong with her? Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. I feel the same. I actually have the same thing. Mine comes from more of a place of, not wanting to impose when I don't ask for help. Yeah, and I'm sure some of our listeners get that.
Yeah, because I don't want to trump on their experience, like as if the catching a horse for the demonstration would be really taking away from their experience at the clinic. I want them all to kick back like they're on vacation, you know. It's not like I have a bunch of cabana boys lined up or anything. Exactly.
I mean, you should have cabana boys lined up.
I know, we've talked about that there should be. But, you know, even if I have a cabana boy, I actually would like probably be like, no, I'm fine. I even have an example of this for the last injury.
I'll feed them the grapes myself.
I had like a really nice man staying at my house. He was an Airbnb guest, but he was a nurse. He was actually, and he was cute. And we were getting along really great. Oh. He kept offering to help me with my knee and everything. And I was like, no, I'm fine. And it was because he was an Airbnb guest. And I was like, I don't want to like him to think I'm taking advantage of him. But we can talk about my difficulties with men on another podcast.
We'll maybe come back around to that, because that's going to take a few podcasts, especially if both Heather and I are talking about it.
Because we've talked about this before off record.
We have.
Yeah.
And that would be a very, very funny, very vulnerable podcast for another time.
I don't think we could temper the giggles on that one for sure.
No, there would definitely be a lot of very loud, shrill laughter in that one.
But that was a perfect example of me not wanting to impose. Totally. And when I realized later, I was like, I was actually offending him.
Yeah, because he was like really wanting to help you out.
He really genuinely wanted to help me out.
He had this like skill set that he could.
It was a skill set even combined with that like being able to like, you know, help a damsel in distress. And meanwhile, I'm like, I'm no damsel. Sure, I can't walk, but I'm no damsel. I can't move, but I'm fine.
Yep. Next time a cute nurse is staying at your house.
End of this month, he's coming back.
Excellent. You're going to be like, yes, please.
Yes, please. That will be my practice. Yeah. When he says, can I help you? Yes, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So for all of you out there, same thing, you know. Just be open to receiving. Yes. You know? Yeah.
Open to receiving.
The universe puts this lovely, opportunity in front of you.
Yes to the opportunity. Yes, and maybe that's the thing. Maybe I recognize certain opportunities. I'm like, that's an okay opportunity. I'll put an okay opportunity column to say yes to. But this other one, no. That's an opportunity I couldn't possibly impose on that.
So we're going to extend the yes.
Say yes, everyone.
Totally. And surrendering
like
to, yes, there's this thing here that's this person that's attempting to help me out.
And open yourself up to like the weird and wonderful, like felting ponies, because that wasn't something that I knew that was a thing. Yeah. But then I just followed it down the road and look where it goes. It's fun. I could be teaching workshops in that too. And going into winter when it's raining, how perfect is that?
Amazing.
It's great.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So yeah, there's lots of opportunity out there. Well, that's very cool. So we've got Kenneth coming. You're going to be practicing your self-care.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is my big practice going forward. And so I think one of the first things even will be like Wednesday. I was like, yesterday I told him, like, I could probably come pick you up at the airport. Isn't that funny, Alexa?
That is
it's this Wednesday.
Yeah, no.
As you're staring at me lying here. So then I realized, probably I won't be picking you up at the airport. You need to delegate. Yeah, probably I will.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Totally. Mm-hmm.
Might have to accept that.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure. I love this. There's some good lessons here. Yay. Super happy that we had this conversation today.
Yeah.
And I could come and like hang with you on the
couch.
In the living room here. Yeah. The living room on the couch, everyone. Yeah. And we're still staring out at beautiful boats cruising by. And what a beautiful valley we live in.
It's so beautiful. And if you have a chance to come visit it if you're not here already, then do.
Heather has an Airbnb.
I do. I have a couple spaces.
Totally.
Come on.
Yeah, it's awesome.
There's horses there. Mm-hmm. If you offer to help me, I'll probably say no.
That's true. Although she's practicing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'll probably be like, no, I can get that. I can throw hay bales down. Don't worry about
No
it.
problem.
I'm
Let me do all these things. Yeah. She is an excellent host for sure, and funny.
So what's interesting too, because we were talking about this, is like it's a learning process, but this is still an experiment. I still don't know yet whether this is gonna work. This whole like just rest.
Yeah,
thing.
totally.
It's an experiment. I'm gonna see. I guess I'll know if the universe does something else to my left side, whether I actually got the lesson right.
Totally.
Let's
we'll
hope.
have to come back around to this
let's
subject
hope
again
that's
and revisit, how the experiment's going.
Yes.
I think this feels good.
Yeah, it does feel good. I think I'm on a better road this time. I think this is much better than like running around. Like I had that demonstration I had to do this spring at the rendezvous.
Oh, I remember.
That was shortly after my first injury this year, and I was running in front of people, and even though I had a torn meniscus and everything.
Yes.
That's probably something I should have considered canceling. There was no consideration of canceling.
Interesting. And considering how it all went down, it might have been a good thing.
It could have been a good thing.
Yeah,
I mean, the demo was great, but the rest of it was not great. And then it was so hard on my body, right?
Yeah.
And so, but again, that was, I think when you were talking about things, it was about keeping a commitment. I'd already made a commitment. And then there was this idea that even though I was now seriously injured, that I still had to go through the commitment. And like, what's that? I wouldn't expect that of somebody else. No way.
No.
I wouldn't be like, well, she didn't keep her contract even though her leg is busted. I would never be, like, I'm pretty compassionate towards others. So it's interesting not to be compassionate toward yourself or to think that other people wouldn't be. I don't think I think that other people wouldn't be. I think it's me. I'm just like, oh yeah, no, I can do it. So I know we're probably coming to the end, so that's like a big can of worms
there,
just to open up at the very end.
Beautiful can of worms right there that we just opened, and I think it does apply to so many of us where, like that sort of, what do we want to call it? That part of us that, like treats everyone else so
nice, like
so nicely.
For sure, if somebody else was in the same situation as me, I wouldn't, like, if my own coach, for example, right now had a leg injury like mine, I wouldn't expect lessons. And yet there's a guilt for me where I'm like, oh, I'm not giving lessons, and like, shouldn't I be out there? What is that?
What is that?
Yeah.
That's a big question. I think that, we get, like, the inner critic comes up into this conversation, and I always say to my clients, if you would not treat another person like that, why are you treating yourself like that? That's one of my
It's a wise question to ask yourself.
As someone who is highly self-critical,